At 72 years old, her fasting blood sugar was 146. Her doctor wanted to put her on metformin immediately. She said no, and what happened next genuinely shocked me. Hi, I'm Diana. I'm a registered dietitian, a certified diabetes care and education specialist, and I'm a master's in nutrition science. And today I want to share a real story from a real person that shows exactly what's possible when you stop just managing diabetes and start actually reversing the root cause. Before I dive in, if you want a free guide on how to start reversing insulin resistance today, including meal plans and recipes, just comment the word guide below this video and I'll send it to you right away. Now let's talk about the story because it's one of the most complete transformations I've ever seen. Blood sugar, A1C, blood pressure, cholesterol, all of it. And she did it at 72 years old. So this is a story of a person in our community, and I'm really excited to share her story and what she did to see her results. So back in June of 2024, her fasting blood sugar was hitting as high as 146. Now, just so you understand what that means, a normal fasting blood sugar is under 100. Prediabetes is 100 to 125, and 126 or above on two separate tests is the diagnostic cutoff for type 2 diabetes. So at 146, she was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And her doctor looked at the numbers and said, "You need metformin now." And she said no, not because she was being reckless, but because she wanted to try something first. She wanted to give her body a real chance before going straight to medication. So what did she actually do? 3 things. She changed her diet, she started berberine, and she stayed consistent. That's it. No extreme diet, no starvation, no crazy workout program. So let me walk you through exactly what she did, why it worked, and how you can do it too. So the first thing she did was clean up her diet. And I want to be really clear here. She didn't go keto. She didn't cut out all carbs. She made targeted, sustainable changes. She switched from butter to olive oil as her main cooking fat. She reduced processed foods. She cut back on added sugar, and she stopped drinking soda. Now, why does this matter so much for blood sugar? It comes down to something called insulin resistance. Think of insulin like a key and your cells like a lock. When you're insulin resistant, that lock gets rusty. Insulin can't open the door, so sugar stays stuck in your bloodstream instead of getting into your cells where it belongs. One of the biggest drivers of that rusty lock, it's excess saturated fat. Research shows that diets high in saturated fat impair insulin signaling in muscle and liver cells, making it harder for your body to clear glucose from the blood. When she swapped processed foods and unhealthy fats for olive oil and whole foods, she started unrusting that lock. And olive oil specifically is worth calling out. It's rich in monounsaturated fats, the healthy fats, and polyphenols. And research shows it improves insulin sensitivity and reduces inflammation in people with metabolic conditions like type 2 diabetes. She also lost 10% of her body weight. That number 10% isn't random. Research consistently shows that losing just 5 to 10% of your body weight significantly improves insulin sensitivity, it lowers fasting blood sugar, and reduces A1C in people with prediabetes and type 2 diabetes. So she hit that target and her labs reflected it. The second thing she did was start berberine, 600 milligrams in the morning with food and 600 milligrams in the evening with food. That's 1,200 milligrams total per day, which is exactly the clinically studied dose. Now, if you've never heard of berberine, let me explain what it is and why it works. So berberine is a natural plant compound that's been studied in over 50 randomized control trials for blood sugar management. And it works by activating something called the AMPK pathway. Think of AMPK as your body's master metabolic switch. When it's turned on, your cells become more sensitive to insulin, your muscles pull more glucose out of the bloodstream, and your liver processes sugar and cholesterol more efficiently. In fact, a landmark study published in the journal Metabolism found that berberine was as effective as metformin at lowering fasting blood sugar, post-meal blood sugar, and A1C in people with type 2 diabetes. Let that sink in. A natural compound studied head-to-head against one of the most commonly prescribed diabetes medications, and it held its own. But here's where most people get wrong about berberine. The dose and the quality matter enormously. Many supplements on the market are underdosed, some as low as 200 milligrams per capsule, which means you'd have to take 6 to 10 capsules a day just to reach the effective amount. You want 600 milligrams of berberine HDL per capsule, third-party tested, manufactured in GMP certified facilities. That's the standard that actually matches what the research uses. She tried several brands and she said Jade Supplements Pure Berberine gave her the best results. And looking at her labs, it's hard to argue with that. Okay, let's talk about what actually happened because this is where it gets remarkable. Her fasting blood sugar came down from a high of 146 to consistently landing between 105 and 125. That's a meaningful drop. She moved out of the diabetic range and into the pre-diabetes range. Still work to do, but real measurable progress. Her A1C dropped from 6.8 to 5.8. That is huge. An A1C of 5.8 is prediabetes, almost at the normal range. She essentially reversed her diabetes diagnosis on paper. But here's what surprised even me. The biggest change she noticed wasn't her blood sugar. It was her blood pressure. Her morning blood pressure became consistently 115 to 130 over 60s. This is textbook healthy. And because her blood pressure stabilized so dramatically, she was able to work with her doctor to stop taking 2 blood pressure medications. Now, I want to be very clear, never stop any medication without talking to your doctor first, of course. She did this all under medical supervision. But the fact that her body no longer needed these medications, that's a profound shift. And this matters even more when you know her history. She had a cardiac stent placed in 2017. She has a major artery that is still partially blocked. This is not a low risk situation. And yet her cardiovascular markers improved across the board. Look at her cholesterol panel. HDL, the good cholesterol, went from 49 to 63. Research shows HDL above 60 is actually considered protective against heart disease. Triglycerides dropped from 165 down to 122. High triglycerides are a major driver of insulin resistance and cardiovascular risk, so this is a huge deal. Her LDL or bad cholesterol dropped from 113 to 94, and total cholesterol dropped from 206 to 181. Every single marker moved in the right direction. At 72 years old, with a cardiac history, after being told she needed medication immediately, she said, and I'm quoting her directly, "I definitely feel better today than I did 3 years ago." By the way, if you're watching this and thinking, okay, I want to do something like this, but I don't know where to start, that's exactly what our free guide is for. It walks you through how to start reversing insulin resistance step by step, and it includes meal plans and recipes. Just comment guide below and I'll get it to you right away. Now, as a dietitian, I want to take a moment to explain why her results make complete sense from a clinical standpoint, because this wasn't luck. This was biology working the way it's supposed to when you give it the right inputs. Type 2 diabetes and prediabetes are not primarily diseases of too much sugar. They are diseases of insulin resistance. Your body still makes insulin, it just can't use it effectively. And the root causes of insulin resistance are excess saturated fat in the diet, physical inactivity, poor sleep, chronic stress, and excess body weight, particularly around the abdomen. When you address those root causes like she did, your cells start responding to insulin again. The lock gets unrusted. Glucose clears from the bloodstream. Blood pressure stabilizes because your blood vessels are no longer inflamed and stiff. Cholesterol improves because your liver is processing lipids more efficiently. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, okay, but she's just one person. Is this really repeatable? And that's a fair question. And the honest answer is results always will vary. Not everyone will see the same numbers. Her results were exceptional, but the mechanisms behind what she did, reducing saturated fat, losing 5 to 10% of body weight, taking clinically dosed berberine consistently. These are not experimental. These are evidence-based strategies that have been studied in thousands of people. What made her story exceptional wasn't that she did something unusual. It's that she did the right things consistently for months without giving up. That's the part most people skip. So what can you actually take away from her story and apply to your own life starting this week? Number 1, target your saturated fat. Swap butter, processed meats, fried foods for healthier fats like olive oil, avocado, nuts, fatty fish. This directly improves insulin sensitivity at the cellular level. Number 2, reduce processed foods and added sugar. Not eliminate, just start reducing them. Start reading labels. If a product has more than 5 grams of added sugar per serving, put it back. Processed foods drive inflammation and insulin resistance. Number 3, aim for 5 to 10% weight loss if you're overweight. You don't need to lose 50 pounds to see results. Even just 10 to 15 pounds can dramatically shift your metabolic health. Number 4, consider berberine at the right dose. 600 milligrams twice daily with meals. Make sure it's berberine HCl, third-party tested, and properly dosed. Talk to your doctor first, especially if you're on diabetes medications, because berberine is powerful and can lower your blood sugar. And that's a good thing, but it needs to be monitored. Number 5, be consistent. Her results didn't happen in 2 weeks. They happened over months of showing up every single day. Consistency is the strategy. So just to wrap it up, she came to us as a 72-year-old woman with a fasting blood sugar of 146, a cardiac history, and a doctor ready to prescribe metformin. And today she has an A1C of 5.8, a cholesterol panel that most 40-year-olds would be envy of. Blood pressure so stable she no longer needs 2 medications, and she feels better than she has in years. That is what's possible when you stop managing the symptoms and start addressing the root cause. If you want to start your own journey, grab our free guide. It covers exactly how to begin reversing insulin resistance with meal plans and recipes included. Just comment guide below. And if this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. We put out science-based, practical content every week to help you take control of your blood sugar and your health. You've got this. I'll see you in the next video.